Hi, welcome back to Storytime with Jenny Presents. Today I'm going to talk about my first stepfather's stepfather, or as I refer to him as Grandpa. So he was my family from when I lived on the farm. There's another video that you can see somewhere. I was there from 8 to 16, and the summer in which I was 12, I started going out on the road with Grandpa. He was a trucker. Him and Grandma were both truckers, and up until Grandma fell out of the truck, landed on her back, and broke her back, and then trucking at that point was just too painful for her. So she got off of the road and then started doing farming full time. And Grandpa then wanted there were four of us within the same age group of cousins, me, my sister, and then there were two other sisters that were our step cousins. But I was the only one that really wanted to go every year. And the first summer was absolutely awesome. And it got me hooked. I had not been east of Ohio before then. And that first summer, I saw every state on the East Coast with the exception of Maine and Florida. And then the very next summer, I actually saw Florida. And incidentally, Grandpa got such a kick out of having me there for the few weeks that I was out there on the road with him that he made sure to get a layover load in Florida, and he took me to Disney World. And at 13, Disney World, pretty awesome. He didn't ride any of the rides with me, but I have to say, when you are a solo rider, you really get to skip a lot of the lines because there's groups of three and two and whatever that come in, and they have the extras. So I got to skip the line really, really quickly. And Space Mountain is absolutely wonderful. I don't know if it would be as exciting with the lights on, but with the lights off, it was phenomenal. I don't even know if Space Mountain is open anymore down in Florida. I like to hope to think that it is in Disney. I feel like it was iconic. I'm going off on a tangent, sorry. So the first summer, Grandpa drove a flatbed, and thank goodness he switched to box truck after that. So with a flatbed, I don't know if you know this, but the truckers are the ones that have to tarp their own loads, and they also have to untarp them. Now, they're not loading the truck, but they are the ones that have to put those great big huge covers on them. And since I was the small young one, I was the one that got the really fun job of climbing up to the very top of the load to make sure that the straps we were using on top of the tarps didn't have any rolls and that they were laying flat and where they were supposed to be. And it was like climbing a tree. And at that time, I was really into stuff like that. And it was fun, except we didn't stop in things like hotels. Like Grandpa there was a bed, there was a bunk in the back. And so when I wanted sleep, I would go sleep in the back. And when Grandpa wanted sleep, I would stay up in the front and be his alarm clock. And we were usually just in truck stops. And every now and then we would use rest stops, but Grandpa preferred truck stops so he could get up and get like fresh coffee in the morning. One of the other really great things about Grandpa was that great or awful, I don't know. He only ate at diners like Waffle House or Denny's. And if there wasn't a Waffle House or a Denny's, it was always the small town diner that had coffee, because he absolutely had coffee on every single time we stopped. And those were the only times we stopped was to eat. So there were no like bathroom breaks or honestly showers. There were a lot of washing up in the sink, especially when messing with the tarps that first year because you get so dirty. But it was an amazing experience. I got to see New York City for the first time. And that was the first summer when we were dealing with the tarps. And you should know at this point, I'm old. So when I was there that first time, it was before New York City got cleaned up. It was very dirty is the best way to explain it. There were people sleeping on the streets everywhere. There was trash, like everywhere, trash. And at one point, there was a very young prostitute who came up and tried to hit on Grandpa, but Grandpa would have none of it because that was the sort of man he was. And instead, he told her if she helped us with untarping the load, he would give her $25 for a meal. And that's exactly what happened. She helped with, she wasn't very good at it, but true to his word, he gave her some cash and she left. And Grandpa was the sort that he had dentures and he would stick his bottom denture out of his mouth in his smile at women. He left dollar tips that were rolled up into rings. And so he would propose to the waitresses. He was married. He was a really funny man. And I have to say, he definitely gave me a travel bug. And really changed my life. My cat just did something and it's very worrisome.